Ladies and gentlemen, this is General Anthony CH Melchett, and tonight I'm gonna, with my good friend Hapless, gonna give you the rundown of the new Rising Storm 2 updates from 1.7 to 1.8.4. I'm aware that the update has been out for a while here, but I wanted to get an opinion before I started to talk about it. So Hapless and I decided to do a type of a podcast style of recording. So, you know, we recorded, this session yesterday, and there might be some slight sound box, and and it's not really the most perfect coherent conversation, but we kind of talk out of the documents from the update, and I'm gonna of course be showing them on the screen for you guys so you can jump around and have a look at those. But otherwise, Hapless and I kind of float our ideas and our thoughts about the game, so it might be a bit incoherent, and I apologize for that, but I'm really interested, and so is Hapless as well, in what did you guys think and all that stuff. So we both hope that you're gonna enjoy this, and remember to go check out Hapless's channel. It's gonna be linked in the right hand side of my channel, so go check him out. So both Hapless and I are very excited to know what you guys think, so please leave a comment down below letting us know what you think of the video. We're gonna be reading all the comments and replying to them, and I hope to see you all in the next one. Bye bye. Okay, Hapless, so we're gonna talk about the updates rolling in from 0.7 all the way up to 0.8.4, and what we talked about was the the general updates that's been in these must have been 3 and some updates here they rolled out over the last 3 months, and also we're gonna be talking about the inclusion of the Ask Us Anything, the dev Reddit live question and answer session they had. So let's just jump into it. What did you think when they rolled out the ARVN update? What are your thoughts on that?
I thought the ARVN were going to be kind of harder to play, be a bit underpowered because they've got all that World War II equipment like the Garand and the BAR and stuff, but
yeah,
they're actually, you kind of feel a bit overpowered. They're really good. It just feels nice to play, and the weapons are all nice and meaty, and it's different. The only source of disappointment with the ARVN update is the Sky Raider.
Yeah, that's
because it's like, it's just it turned out to be an F4 reskin, and it would have been much nicer if it dropped bombs or fired rockets or used cannon, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and it feels like to me that I've heard model planes with a beefier engine than the Sky Raider.
yeah.
So that's that's a bit of a disappointment. But you talked about that they play differently, and I would totally agree that the whole ARVN update really put in a really nice addition. For me especially, the Thompson submachine gun has finally given the South a decent submachine gun.
Yeah, and especially you can look over the top of the sights, so
yeah.
You don't get you're sidestepping that horrible sight picture that you get with the grease gun.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on the M1 and M2 carbines?
I like them. I mean, it's don't really ever expect to hit anything with them at like long range and things, because the foresight blade, whatever you want to call it, is like really thick, but it's not designed for that, so it's not going to.
Yeah,
and it's like it's like a little pop gun, but it works.
I really enjoyed it, especially as a sapper for the VC, like when you're trying to fight your way up to cheeky positions with mines and shit. It's a really nice addition. It really gives the VC some flavor, and I really like that the ARVN have been given, or the South have been giving this nice semi-auto. It's almost a submachine gun, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
So that's really given the ARVN and the people really some meat to the bone. So the maps introduced with the ARVN, what's your thought?
It's a bit of a mixed bag. I think Quang Tree, the one in the Citadel, is a bit. I've found it like pretty underwhelming, to be honest. It's it probably doesn't need the helicopters, and Supremacy's never really, for me at least, it's kind of never really taken off that well. It's kind of it spreads the action out too much, in my opinion.
Yeah. Supremacy have a tendency to where it's gonna be coming down to how good are the American helicopter pilots, and does the VC have a decent squad leader that gotta put down some tunnels.
Yeah, and just the way the fighting develops, you have these lots of like tiny little skirmishes, which you know, with maybe like 2 or 3 people on one side if you're lucky.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when you have 64 players spread around 5 objectives, you don't really get the intensity that, you know, it's what we really play RS2 for. No. You don't get the kind of bodies on screen.
No. So yeah, that's kind of that the game mode really needs some sort of attention, because it always seems like either it's, you know, one team is steamrolling the other one, or something like that, and it never seems to be like a proper struggle. And you really never seem to have an idea about the struggle, because you can always have somebody popping up and at the back, actually, you know, attacking your back cap or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bit like the same problem that you get in Squadron Postscriptum, where there isn't a front line. So because you have that kind of flexibility and you can go where you like, it gets a little bit too chaotic.
Yeah, and you always...
I mean, we like a bit of chaos, but in like the confines of let's attack this objective, not, you know, we've got 5 objectives to tackle.
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed as well in the update here would be the new damage model they introduced with the spine shot, the critical zones, and the realignment. They specifically mention the realignment with Red Orchestra damage, and I'm not one to gloat towards Tripwire and Antimatter Gaming, but I remember like a stream where they made fun of like community contributors, or whatever you want to call people like me, that said they couldn't make helicopters, and they really made fun of that and stuff like that. So I'm not a smallish guy, so I'm not gonna make fun of that. But you know, it's just like, what did we talk about before with you know, with damage model, and yeah.
Is you know, we want the 7.62 stuff to drop people when you shoot them.
Yeah, so the damage model for the critical zones has been, you know, RO2 values, and I really think you can feel it.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. I mean, they did have the struggle. I mean, to start off with, way back, they were saying that you know, they had to change the damage model a bit to factor in the fact that, you know, your average rifleman doesn't have a bolt action rifle anymore. He's got an assault rifle, so they had to tone it down a little bit. And maybe they went a bit too far, and now they've kind of balanced it out. Now you've got that difference between the assault rifles like the AK and the M16, and then you have the battle rifles like the M14 and the Garand, and
so
yeah, the balance is kind of sorted it out. They're both viable, just in different ways.
Yeah, and of course you have all the Australian stuff. We haven't talked about that much.
Oh yeah.
It's not that fascinating to me, but it's still a nice addition in the game.
Yeah, I mean, like, I want to like the FAL, and I really want to like the FAL, but the sight is just, it's better than it was, but it's not pushing my buttons.
Yeah,
and it doesn't feel that good.
Then of course the Aussie submachine guns, the Owen and the F1 or whatever.
Yeah, the almost the Sterling, but sideways for some reason. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that really doesn't work. Like, you know, you obstruct half the fucking screen again.
Yeah, I mean they're good, but you know, I can remember when we were like in the testing kind of phase of it, running around in Long Tan, and you know, you can't see people because there's this huge stick mag in front of your face.
Yeah,
you know, it's doesn't help.
Yeah, no. It really doesn't. It really doesn't. So, what do you think about the? What do you think about the automatic levels for some of the roles, like commander, radio man, squad leader? That you need to have a specific role.
Yeah, it's probably in a good place. There's obviously part of me likes it because you don't want to have a TL who's level 1 or 2 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a big problem in RO2 because people just went, "Ooh, a submachine gun! I want the submachine gun," and didn't play it as the commander role. Here you have a bit less of that problem because everyone's got an assault rifle.
Yeah. So.
And it's kind of if I just started playing RS2 now and I was level 1 and I wanted to be commander, it would piss me off no end. Because I know what I'm doing. But
I think it's in a good place. And for example, radio guy is level 5, so it's not
exactly.
My rifle is
it's like a couple of hours in game, then you're over that. And then of course they fixed the sound.
Yes. Yeah. Like the AKM especially.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't it seemed pretty underwhelming before. When you have that kind of less dramatic damage model mixed up with the less dramatic sound, it was kind of like I want to use the AK, but it doesn't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like nice and meaty, and it's interesting how much the sound, the improvements to the sound have made the weapon feel better.
Yeah.
Even though there hasn't been that many changes behind the scenes.
And especially the motion is really good now as well.
Yeah.
It's really spot on. And they of course adjusted the motion as well, the bolt action for the motion towards the RO2 values. So again, the grease gun got a visibility improvement. And it's funny enough that you and I have been, in our separate videos, have been talking about this for I don't know how long and taking it up in all kinds of forums and shit, but it's only now that they actually do something about it. But, but better late than never, I would say.
Yeah, it's just a pity that I just automatically don't use the grease gun anymore.
Almost alive. What?
Yeah. One thing that I've noticed is the I don't know if anybody uses the folding mechanics on the weapons, like folding in stocks and shit. I don't know.
It's grenades. Yeah, it's fine.
I do with the folding stock AK, and I do occasionally with the MAT 49.
Okay. Guys, get in there.
But
get in there. Come on,
after I think it was either you or Tommy pointed out, if the MAT 49, if you set the sights to 200 meters, you get a much better sight picture. So
yeah.
It becomes a lot better that way.
Yeah, you can scroll up the match side, so you just get a bigger side, and
yeah, I think it might get. It's the kind of thing. It's a bit like the bayonets, but you have to spend time to sort it out. Like if there was an option to start with folded stock or start with bayonet fixed, you'd probably see it a lot more.
Yeah, I think so as well. One thing as well that we have to notice here is they have adjusted some of the roles. For example, Zappa, attacking Zappa for the VC, it gets hand grenades. You can choose with the engineer, the American engineer, to get more hand grenades instead of having the thumper or the grenade launcher or the flamethrower. Any thoughts on that?
I love the grenadier class now. I mean, the M79 was a bit overly situational.
Yeah.
Especially when you're like, okay, what ammunition do I need right now? Do I need the buckshot because I'm advancing, or do I need the, is someone going to pop up within 10 meters, or are they going to pop up 50 meters away? So the opportunity to take like an M16 or a carbine and have like 4 hand grenades and a smoke grenade, that's much better.
Yeah, that's really that's something that's really improved, and especially for the VC as well, the Zappa attack and getting some fucking hand grenades.
Yeah, it doesn't feel particularly sensible to like be carting a load of toe popper mines around, does it, when you're attacking?
No. So as well, they tried to adjust. I'm still saying they've tried to adjust the C4, I think, people are not using it because it's you know, it's not fire forget. You need to be alive to use the trigger mechanism. So
yeah, and same thing with the claymore. It's kind of like too situational. There's not really a I'm sure people do get some use out of it, but it's very rare that you see a if you see a C4 kill, it's because someone's using it as a kind of super hand grenade.
Yeah.
And if you see a claymore kill, it's because someone's really tried to get a claymore kill.
Yeah. So, and as well, my thinking is that the VC needs some sort of satchels, and the American needs some sort of, you know, way to do something with the. If I'm not mistaken, you can set off your claymores now after you spawn. Isn't that right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think they changed that.
Yeah. So that's gonna help a bit, but it's still gonna be like, you know, not really interesting. So I think they need to rethink that to a degree. How you actually using that.
Yeah, I mean, there was at one point we did the there was a bit of discussion about, you know, should there be a clacker as a separate item. So, you know, if the guy who owns the claymore dies, you pick up the clacker and you can use the claymores, but it's overly complicated apparently, so that's not going to happen.
No. So yeah. So and as well, so they fixed a lot of the stuff. A lot of the maps got tweaked one way or the other, and as well. So that's, you know, they keep on doing a lot of like proof of life things, proof of improvement of life, with a lot of things making look better. The helicopters, audio, the weapons. You know, you don't have that ridiculous headshot sound across the map anymore.
Oh yeah, the one that scares the bejesus. It only scares the bejesus out of the person who gets hit now. Yeah.
So as well with the ARVN weapons, especially the M1919 A6, the light machine gun got adjusted quite a bit throughout the update period.
Yeah. Arguably, he shouldn't be running around hip firing it because his hand would melt to the barrel, but yeah, be a bit useless if you could only fire it from the bipod.
Yeah. So it looks like that is to a degree now. The ARVN weapons and stuff seems to be at a place where it is. The whole customizations and this stuff. What are your thoughts on that too? That they keep on putting that out.
You know, it's from Tripwire's point of view, it's a kind of sensible bit of extra income. You know, if people want to pay to run around in a gas mask, then okay then. And it is good that it's unobtrusive, really, because, you know, it doesn't have any bearing on the gameplay whatsoever. Or with the DLC stuff, at least.
Yeah.
But it's still
sorry, forgive it.
So, kind of all the way through from the start. It's some of the customization options are a little bit questionable, like, you know, running around in the jungle just you know, with your shirt off is a terrible idea, because, you know, everybody can see you. You know, it's like this pink thing running around on a green background. It's not very healthy.
No. So there is a lot of stuff here that has actually changed for the that has changed for the better, and I would say, as you say, that animations and when you get these customizable objects and stuff, it is a good way to finance the game. It looks funny, and you know, I don't care, you know, as long as they keep on making content to the game. That's something that I you know, highly appreciate, and I actually think it's good, and I actually think they have delivered to a degree right now on some of the stuff that they actually talked about.
Yeah, I mean, if you start looking at the release as a starting point, and now we're getting, you know, closer towards the finished game, then everything makes a lot more sense. There was, you know, it was a little bit underwhelming at launch, because, you know, you only had a few maps and things, and people got bored of it pretty quick. But it's rapidly expanding. Yeah,
and especially with the custom map making, that, you know, you made a couple of maps, right?
Yeah.
And you know,
it's a thriving community.
Yeah.
Just churning out maps.
Yeah, so that's really some good stuff. The next one I want to jump into here is the ask us everything stuff. Is there anything in there that you kind of noticed?
For me, the big thing is the campaign.
Yeah.
That's what's really, you know, for us especially, what's missing in RS2 from RO2, which is it needs some kind of bigger picture to string the maps together.
Yeah.
And keep you playing. At the moment, it's like, you know, you play a couple of games and you kind of get a bit burnt out because it's meaningless.
Mm-hmm.
But when you put it in when you've got that context, then you know, that's going to add a lot of replayability to it. It's going to make it a lot more fun.
Yeah. Is there? Let's take it a bit from a go here. Vehicles. They are saying that they have the M113, like that box armor personnel carrier with a 50 caliber machine gun and stuff like that coming out.
Yeah, the version that's currently in the SDK has it's like the ACAV version, so there's a 50 up front where it normally is, and then the hatches at the back are open, and there's two M60s with the little gun shields.
Yeah. So that's gonna be an interesting thing. That's gonna be an RPG magnet, isn't it?
Yeah, there's gonna need some sensible map design to you know, give it the chance to really be useful. The only map at the moment that I can see it being effective on is maybe Kuchi, but very maybe, because
yeah. Because, you know, RPGs, snipers, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Imagine the amount of incoming fire on that thing, you know. And if you remember Red Orchestra, if you just remember like a German on the half track, like how long they would survive.
Yeah, not very long.
Not very long. So there's most definitely gonna be the cover mechanic once again.
Oh my goodness.
And they're saying that it's that it's more unlikely that they're going to be implementing helicopters for the US before they've actually given the VC some vehicles. What are your thoughts on that? What could be a nice North Vietnamese or VC vehicle?
It's a little it's almost kind of out of scope. I mean, like, you know, Tripwire does try to do the you know, the historical authenticity, and the only things that the North Vietnamese were really tooling about with were little PT-76s. That's a light tank.
Yeah.
You know, so and it was, you know, they literally cropped up like once or twice during the American stage of the war.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, that's like a hell of a game changer. You'd have to start handing out anti-tank weapons to the Americans, which, well, we might see the M72 law, which would be nice.
Yeah.
But personally, I think it'd be more something like, you know, like a little Jeep or a truck or something. That seems more within the realms of possibility.
Yeah, so some sort of Soviet vehicle with some
maybe
machine gun on the back.
Maybe like something like a BTR 152. That's like basically like a think like one of those American half tracks, but just with the wheels, and it's got a fit like a Dushka on the top, something like that.
Yeah, so something like that with some sort of, you know, I would love to see like little motorcycles with sidecars, you know, perhaps with a gun on or something like that. That could be a bit of fun.
Yeah, or just bikes, just pedal bikes.
Bicycles would be fucking amazing. You know, that was just, you know,
I mean, that would kind of fit in, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and they showed in Heroes and Generals that it's actually doable with bikes to come around on the map. So that might be a thing. Yeah, they say no plans to any sea vehicles yet, and it's apparently those people that keep on suggesting like
the patrol boat lobby.
That's I've difficult seeing that stuff.
I mean, when the M113 gets in, it's just going to be, look at the M113 and how often that gets destroyed, and it can drive wherever it likes. You know, not like a boat that is stuck on a river with no room to maneuver.
Yeah. So you're gonna have these huge river-centric maps, apparently. You know, where you know, the river boats, as I understand it, were used to try and stop VC supplies being delivered in the Mekong Delta and stuff like that. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is like a whole facet of the war with like you know, armored landing craft and with like 20mm cannons on and all that kind of stuff going up the Delta, but you'd have to. It would be so divergent from the normal gameplay. I don't think Tripwire's gonna bother with it. No. It would be just crazy, I think. Again, the campaign here, timeline between 56 and 75. You're gonna have factions gonna be variable, and you're gonna have weapons adjusting to the times. So, you know, that makes sense. The later you come up in time,
at least
the more different weapons you get. But I see a problem, or like a thought in this, that let's say that the Americans win and they move up in time, and then the VC win. What do we do then? Do we go back in time? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, they kind of lead here towards you know, like a set campaign, like you have, you know, 10 turns or something, and it's going to go forward a year each turn, something like that.
Yeah. Let's see.
And you know, you might get, I don't know, maybe different events depending on what happens. Like the Americans don't leave in 72 if they're winning, you know, something like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see what they come up with. You know, they can always contact us. We have loads of ideas. Just call us up. The next one is that the 09 update is gonna give the North some love. Any ideas there? What that would be?
Yeah, they've been talking a long time about doing more traps, so we could be seeing some more of that. But there was also they were talking about, and they did have a go at doing a kind of World War II expansion, or mini expansion, where they take a lot of the Red Orchestra 2 stuff and kind of port it in and update it. And apparently that's not going to happen, unfortunately. But one of the byproducts on that is they have a lot of apparently they have quite a lot of weapon models and things hanging around. So we could be seeing for the because they're also talking. You kind of noticed it in the ARVN update. But they're starting to try and differentiate between the VC and the North Vietnamese army a bit more. So we might see some stuff going away from the NLF, stuff like the AKs maybe, and getting replaced with World War II stuff. So
so that's when we talk about this, I'm probably gonna roll in some pictures that have got released about some of the characters that have been they had been making for the mod. So those pictures look really nice with like sunglasses and shit like that. It was really really funny looking, but yeah, the weapons and yeah, then you would both have German and Russian weapons, Soviet weapons, as you and I talked about. That there were a whole bunch of weapons that we would like to see. I remember I shared a video with you with funny North Vietnamese weapons that were found. You know, where
scratch built.
Yeah, where it's everything from like crossbows to you know, spears and yeah, like harpoon weapons and everything almost.
I don't see him.
Yeah. So what they talk about with the factions are the weapons, the commander's abilities, and other gameplay elements. So any thoughts on what the commander ability could be for the North Vietnamese and the VC?
We could be seeing more like direct fire stuff for the for the NVA. It was the kind of like guerrilla war type stuff doesn't quite fit in with the NVA. It works for the VC, but the NVA is more like hardcore light infantry than guerrillas.
Yeah.
So, you know, we could see some more stuff like that. Or they could even get, you know, no tunnels and have squad leader spawning, something like that.
Yeah. An ability I would like to see that we and I have been talking about. I would like to see a VC ability where, or even an all Vietnamese ability as well, where the commander activated and then the squads can spawn on all tunnels.
Yeah, that would be...
You know, so somebody has a good tunnel and all of a sudden everybody can spawn on that tunnel.
Yeah.
I would as well like to see that the VC commander or the North Vietnamese commander would be able to activate like not a Banzai function, but like I don't know what you would call it, like
I think they said Tien Len or something.
I'm not cancelling anything.
The VC did do, or the Viet Minh definitely did something similar to the Japanese, where they just, you know, human wave until all the French were dead. So
yeah, so
you know, that's an option there.
I'd like an ability the commander could activate that would make the VC more resistant to bullet, like the Japanese stuff, like the Banzai mechanic, that they would make him not tired, not you know, all that stuff for, you know, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, 40 seconds, whatever. You know, to coordinate an attack.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
Which would be nice. Other gameplay elements, you know, what we would like. VC Sapper Commando for the win.
Yeah, Sapper Commandos for the win.
Sapper fucking Commandos. What would Sapper Commandos be rocking?
Kind of depends on the circumstances, but you know, if you look at something like Tet, a lot of the attack on the American embassy, that was Sapper Commandos in civilian clothes with American weapons. So like you know, a proper mixture of stuff.
You also saw like suicide stuff during Tet, didn't you?
Yeah, so the suicide satchel could be a good comeback.
You know, it would be funny just to see a guy that the only thing he had, if he chose to spawn as a suicide sapper, would be he would only have like the vest with the trigger, right?
Yeah.
So he would have the vest with the trigger on, and that would be it. And then he would just go for it. You know, and even make him unable to pick up weapons, for example.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a nice kind of VC counterpoint to the flamethrower, wouldn't it? Because the flamethrower is in that similar kind of position where, you know, he's a bit useless till he gets close.
It could even be an ability the commander could activate, like we talked about before, that the commander would activate it and then like 2 suicide rolls would be available for, and they would have like 2 lives, or something like that. They would have 2 tickets each to spend with the suicide thing.
Yeah.
Also, would sure like to see those long bamboo sticks with hand grenades on.
Yeah, like pole charges and things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That you could.
Yeah, I'm not sure how they get it to work, but you know, if they could, it'd be great.
Yeah.
You have a good mark for that? Nice.
So it would pretty much be like a long hand grenade that you could run out in front of you and stick into something and they'll blow up.
Yeah, yeah, like stick it into bunker windows and things.
Yeah. I don't know with their mechanics and shit how it would work, but...
Yeah, I'm not sure how they get it to actually function properly, but...
No.
Tommy got toast.
Yeah, something like that would be you know, would be awesome, as least for North Vietnamese, and yeah, especially you know, the traps, you know, the whole trap, as we talked about, the whole trap element would be nice to have different kinds of traps. IEDs, you know, like explosive control traps would be awesome, wouldn't it? It would really give the VC something.
Yeah, I think they said they were messing about with like I'm not going to pronounce this, like a FOGAS. That's sort of like an oldie style claymore, so...
Yeah, so it would be like explosive, then you pile rocks and shit up on it, and then
yeah, it's like a directional mine.
Yeah, yeah, something like that for the VC at least, as you know. That would make it quite fun to use, I think. Yeah. So any other thoughts on any North gameplay elements they might put in?
I think the only other thing that really struck me in their list of stuff was towards the end when they said that, you know, in the long run, the very long run, doing the French versus the Viet Minh is a possibility. That would be yeah, that would be fantastic.
Yeah. They talk about here when we go down to weapons in this, they talk about Chinese type 53 being considered. French, Czech, German, Russian weapons. I'm gonna put a bet on that the Czech weapon is that the Czech the ZP whatever, that machine gun that looks like a Bren gun.
Thank you, good job.
Probably.
Yeah, maybe the Type 53 is just a Mosin Nagant carbine.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, it's that short one, so would be nice.
Yeah. But yeah, like the
napalm like that, you know.
can't remember what the French one is called, but a French semi-auto rifle for the VC, that would be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be good.
Yeah, and again, you know, these kinds of traps, you know, I would love to see the one with like he using Rambo, like the swinging thing that comes down from the tree or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
As we talked about actually before, one thing before we jump on, I would really like to see would be these foot traps for the Americans.
Ah, yeah. Yeah.
So let's say that you got stuck in that you would be stuck, you know. Let's say that
until you know, for either like 2 minutes something, or until one of your buddies comes and helps you.
Yeah, something like that. That would be hilarious. That would be hilarious being stuck in that. And
yeah, that actually that reminds me. There's something that we skimmed on, was the proximity voice.
Oh yeah.
That's a hilarious addition to the game. Being able to
I
listen
would
to
say
the other
that
team.
it's almost, the damage is of course the best, but voice, proximity voice. So Hapless, could you please explain it for everybody that doesn't know what the fuck we're
it's
talking
essentially now when you talk in game, whether you're on the commander channel, the squad leader channel, the squad channel, whatever, you're also talking in this proximity channel. So essentially, it's just as if in real life, if you're talking out loud on on your phone, somebody nearby can hear you. So we see a lot, especially on the American servers, people running around talking to themselves or talking to their friends, and you can just kind of home in on them.
Yeah.
Not to mention the comedy you get when you throw a hand grenade on the other side of the wall and you hear people start to panic. It's good fun.
Take cover. yeah, it's funny. And especially this in those, my favorite thing for Red Orchestra has always been those end game moments, where you are like, you're like 30 guys versus 30 guys, and there's one, there's no tickets. You have these two objectives you have to capture, and you have to do this stuff to actually, get into the objective. And everybody knows me, and I've been, I was all been screaming in the mic as I was moving up. But nowadays, it's totally different, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah. Need to be aware with the shouting.
Yeah, there is like pros and cons. It's really, I think it's fucking genius, honestly. It's genius, really. I think all shooter games should take notice of this, because I find it absolute genius. That's my honest opinion on it. Yeah, that was good that you caught that one.
Yeah, I was just thinking about some American with his foot stuck in one of those foot traps.
Yeah,
yelling for help. It's going to make it even worse.
Yeah, I even think with like stuck in a foot trap, if everybody doesn't know, I think I'm gonna roll in a picture, like in the video at some point here, with the foot trap. It's like the VC like put in a board, like a 2 pieces of wood that was like sawed over in the middle, and then underneath you have like 2 rollers, like 2, what would you call, like 2 toilet paper rollers with nails in it, and as you stepped in, your foot would roll through the 2 rollers, and then the spikes would get into your foot, and you really couldn't pull it out.
Yeah, because you'd have to pull against the rollers. So yeah.
Ow. Ow. And what the VC would do, you know, would be, you know, put human feces on or whatever, put feces on the spikes. So, you know, even though you got your foot out, you know, not funny.
Instant infection. Thank you very much, Jungle.
Yeah, so that would be, you know, that would be a thing that, you know, that is actually really good. One thing I also got into mind is the thing with the shell casings. They have a problem like that the weapons as is right now is sucking in the shell casings in front of the weapons.
Yeah. I'm not sure if it's every map or if it's something like that, but it...
yeah.
Definitely on Firebase Georgina, you fire, the empty case flies out and it zips the muzzle.
Yeah.
It's like, okay then, that's probably not supposed to happen.
Yeah, it's really a fun thing. Yeah, so they've done a loads of adjustment on all the maps, especially like something like 2G removed reinforcements for the attackers and removed reinforcements from the defenders. So, you know, as people are getting better at the maps, they don't need as many tickets to cap them. That's kind of what we're seeing, isn't it?
Yeah, you're kind of seeing this kind of fine-tuning going on. So I think you have less time as well. So it gets, now that people are a bit more used to it, it's you know, ramps up the intensity a little bit.
Yeah, and also they on pretty much on all the maps they are turning back the reinforcements. No, fuck reinforcements. They're turning back like the abilities for the commanders.
Yeah. Yeah, so you know, can't just drop napalm wherever you like. You kind of have to think about it if you're only going to have so many in a game.
Yeah. Yeah, so they're gonna put a cap on the napalm, so you can't just... So what I would do when I was command, I would always drop everything as fast as possible to get as many rounds of it in as possible. But now you have to kind of wait.
Oh yeah, it's from the, you know, the SDK and the making the maps and things. It's the timer for the different abilities is based on how many you're allowed to have. So basically, like on where is it, Anlao, and they're changing it from you know, 6 artilleries to 4 artilleries or whatever. It just means you're gonna have a longer cooldown. So
okay. Yeah.
You can't actually run out or anything, but effectively you have less.
Okay, like that. That makes perfect sense. So a whole lot of stuff on that. Hue City, they actually cut 200 reinforcements from the north, you know, defenders, and they cut 170 from attackers. That's quite critical, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a lot of bodies.
That's a lot of bodies. That's really a lot of tickets getting removed.
But you know, that's hopefully it's going to make it less like a less of a meat grinder for the Americans.
Yeah. So now when we talk about maps, don't you wanna like do a shameless plug for your maps? Feel free to.
Not particularly. You should have one of them coming out in a little bit with the ARVN, messing around with some like dry terrain, like dry season stuff. But you know, very early stuff. No idea how it's going to play yet.
Oh, okay. Okay. So one thing that I noticed with the latest bug fix, that they actually took time to put credit to their favorite community what you call community member.
Yeah.
our favorite Polish contributor Askiol. I think he's Polish, isn't he?
I thought it was for some reason.
He was what?
I don't. You would know. You'd know if he was Danish.
Yeah, he might be. He might be. I'm not sure.
He's tirelessly pointing out everything that's wrong with
I actually think he's Danish. He's gotta be. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he is. I actually gotta get him on here. Talk to him.
Yeah.
But what did he point out this time?
I think it was to do with the ini files. So the files that you have that the game generates that saves your options and things. What you could do is you could go in and you could minimize things like the head bopping and the weapon sway and stuff like that, which would give you a competitive advantage.
Yeah.
So he's alerted Tripwire to that, and hopefully they've plugged up that little hole there.
Yeah, so one thing that I'm impressed with this guy is that he apparently points out, like, how many posts does he have, like, on a forum or whatever?
A lot.
Yeah, and he points out, like, I gotta talk to him at some point, because he points out everything from fucking, I don't know. If
he's kind of like tend to mock him a little bit, but he is like persistently, trying to improve the game, and he has been doing from day one.
Yeah. So kudos to Askiol. He's really a stand-up guy, and he's performing really well on actually pointing out a shit ton of things that they should change.
Yeah, whenever there's a patch and there's something wrong with it, Tripwire find out real quick. which is good, that's he's one of the grunts. He was one of the beta and the alpha testers, so that's part of what we do. Yeah.
So state of the game, Hapless. We are wrapping this up now. Where are we with the state of where are we with the state of the game, and what would you like to see improve, and what should they add over time?
The state of the game is that it's much more like a fully rounded out game than it was at release. Mm-hmm. And it costs the same amount of money, so that's a win.
Yeah.
What I'm really looking forward to the campaign, and I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with the M113, because I like the magic box and I want it to succeed, but I think it's going to eat a lot of RPGs.
Yeah.
And then long term, we're getting more maps and we're getting more features. Still the outside possibility of more vehicles, more factions and things, and what I'd love to see would be some kind of Indo-China war, French versus Viet Minh expansion, because I think that's more, you have less automatic weapons hanging around, you have more vehicles, you have like big battles like Dien Bien Phu, all that kind of stuff that's really interesting. It's a much more even fight in terms of firepower, so that would be a very different dynamic.
Yeah. What I'm thinking is that from a scale from 1 to 10, I give them about an 8 right now. It's a really good game. It's a really fun game for RO2 veterans. The damage is spot on, and they're really hitting some good points with it, I think, and they're constantly updating it. You might say that they are a bit money grabby with all the customizations, but that's up to people if they want to customize their characters.
You're not going to get any advantage by customizing your character. It's purely cosmetic. So that's like, for us, that's the best kind of paid DLC model. If you want it, you can have it, but you don't need it.
Yeah. What I would like to see is a lot more weapons. Just because as Tripwire says, they always say, hey, if we're gonna make a weapon, it's gonna fill out a role in the game that other weapons doesn't fill out. And I think that that's kind of a wrong thing, because I like to see diversion in the map. Like, I like to see different guns. I like to use different guns because it's fun. So, stuff like the Carl Gustav submachine gun, the Uzi, all the those special forces types of weapons.
Like the stoner and things.
Yeah, all the stoner stuff. You know, I would like to see like melee weapons, especially for the VC. You know, bows, crossbows, you know, that kind of stuff. That would be absolutely fantastic, wouldn't it? It would just be, you know, so much fun and so different and so brave, actually. That's a thing that I would really like to see. And then if we talk about content needs to be added, then everybody needs to write in the comments that Hapless should make his Saigon embassy map.
Yeah, you're never gonna let that go, are you?
No, so people, if you want to see Saigon embassy maps, my good friend Dragon88 has already made a crude model, a very detailed model of the embassy, and Hapless just needs to turn it into a fucking map.
Yeah.
So write in the comments if you want to see Saigon embassy map. That's so important. Moving on, I really want to see them keep on improving the map, giving us more maps. You know, perhaps doing a bit of cheeky stuff, importing. You know, I know there's a lot of mappers, but these mappers keep on updating the maps and keep on refining it as they're doing. That would be, you know, that would be really nice. As well, you know, so a lot of this stuff, you know, I would like to see I would like to see more abilities to choose from. For example, from the American Commander, to like, you know, perhaps make a bit of a meta game where you could choose, hey, I would like mortars, gun run, and you know, and more force respawns, for example. So that you as the commander had more options to choose from, so you could customize your own. You could customize your own layout for your abilities, so it would become a bit more of a meta game between the two commanders. Like, what should I pick as abilities? Yeah,
that would be interesting if it was wrapped up in the campaign. Like, you know, if you hold Da Nang Air Base, then you get the F4s. You know, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would like to see as well that perhaps you would be able to choose. You know, do you want an F4 with bombs? Do you want an F4 with strafe run? Do you want an F4 with, you know, the same thing with napalm? The same thing with the Sky Raider. You know, I knew the Sky Raider could carry and dropped every bomb in the U.S. arsenal except for nuclear weapons in Vietnam. So, you know, I would like to see them with Gatling guns. I would like to see them with, you know, rocket pods, and you know, you could order. You know, you had for example, for a whole game you had 20 rockets on the Sky Raider, and you could then choose to fire 1 rocket or 10 rockets at a target. I would like to see that for sure.
Yeah, just freak out the VC commander into triggering the SAMs and things.
Yeah. Yeah. So, for example, have a wild weasel ability, so you could kill the SAM. That would be nice.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. So I think we forgot anything, Hapless, before we could keep rambling on like this.
Yeah, we could, couldn't we? Not anything major, I don't think. I'm sure if we have, people in the comments will point it out.
Yeah. So there's a lot of stuff. It's in a really good place. And if people want to follow you and like follow your development with maps and shit, where can they hit you up and follow you?
I'm on YouTube. Just type in usually Hapless. There's a link on General's homepage to it.
Yeah.
It's mostly some combat mission stuff, but should be putting some stuff about maps up sometime soon.
Yeah, so I think that's you know, go follow Hapless and go do all that stuff, and you know, if you if you want to chime in with any comments and anything you think on this what we talked about here, please leave a comment down below, and you know, we hope you enjoyed this, and you know, we'll see you next time. So bye bye.